Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the ultimate empty-handed technique found in the ninja martial arts. That's right, this is a technique that if you use it correctly, you will dramatically increase your odds of survival in an intense, violent self-defense situation. Now, before I begin, I always give a shout out to all of my new viewers, okay? So if this is the first video that you guys have seen of me, my name is Christa Jacobson, and I'm the headmistress at the Budo, which means School of the Warrior Way. We teach koryu ninjutsu and koryu bujutsu, which are the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. This organization does have other areas of focus, such as reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, concealed carry, survival skills, martial arts theory, thought, and philosophy, martial arts conditioning. If any of those topics at all interest you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click the bell. That way you can keep up with everything that we're doing. I do post 2 to 3 videos every single week. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and that way you guys can keep up with everything that we are doing. So today we're going to be talking about the most effective empty-handed technique found in the ninja martial arts. Now, once I start talking about this technique, a lot of you guys are going to think that I'm being an ultimate smartass, but I'm not. I am going to be laying it rather thick, but follow me because I'm going to be making a strong point to end with some really good information. So although the beginning of this video is going to sound a little bit like a smartass, follow me through the whole video so you can get where I'm going, okay? So here's the technique. You see someone coming towards you. It's going to be a violent situation. They're getting ready to attack you, or theft, or assault, or whatever the situation is, right? So this is the technique that you're going to be doing, right? I want you to recognize the threat. And once you've recognized the threat, you're going to open up your hand. And after you open up the hand, I'm going to have you put it down just like this. And as you put it down like this, the next technique, it's very crucial. You're going to grab the weapon that you're carrying. And then you're going to draw that weapon or pull that weapon from a concealed position and then effectively use that weapon on the attacker who's attacking you. Now, many of you guys are going to start talking about, concealed carry, I don't want to carry a gun. You're grabbing a knife. You can't always use a knife in every situation. Again, follow me on this. Although, yes, that sounds like I'm being an absolute smartass, but here's the reality of it. When you're studying ninjutsu and bujutsu, regardless of whether it's koryu, meaning the old ways, or gendai budo, meaning a modern variation of the old way, so gendai budo, or modern martial arts in Japan after 1868, koryu bujutsu are the martial arts in Japan previous to 1868. So it doesn't really matter whether it's koryu bujutsu or gendai budo. The reality of it is, if you're studying some form of ninjutsu or bujutsu, you are studying a martial art that is heavily weapons-based. That is the absolute truth. All ninja and samurai carried weapons. So when you're studying ninjutsu or bujutsu and you're doing your whatever empty-handed tactics that you have, all those empty-handed tactics are great, but the reality of it is based on you carrying weapons. You have to train in weapons. And I know that I'm going to be hitting a point that I do talk about in a lot of my videos, but this is just the absolute truth. The reality of it is, when you are being presented with a threat, you are the prey. Predator goes after prey that they feel are weaker than them. So the reality of you being an empty-handed fight versus someone that's your same size and weight is just not probable. Possible, not probable. And remember the difference between possible and probable. It's possible if I buy a lottery ticket, I win the lottery. It's not very probable. So it is not probable that the person that attacks you for some reason or another is your same height, in your weight class, at your same skill set. It's just not probable. The reality of it is the predator attacks the prey. They attack what they see as weak. And the tip, generally speaking, the predator is much bigger than the prey. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. And if they're not bigger and stronger than you, then they have a tactical advantage, meaning they're carrying a gun, a firearm, a knife, some form of blunt force instrument to hit you and beat you with. And if they don't have a weapon, then there are more of them. And if there's not more of them, then they have a tactical advantage over the terrain. You're in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So predators attack for a reason, and it's because they feel they have the advantage. I'm not saying they have the advantage, I'm saying that they feel that they have the advantage. So when you know it is more probable that your attacker is going to be bigger and stronger than you, it is probable that they are going to have some sense of a weapon to use against you, whether it's a firearm, an edged weapon, or a blunt instrument, like a stick or a bat or something along those lines. It's more probable, right, that there are going to be more of them. In fact, in a reality-based self-defense situation, I've looked at statistics where it's up to 40% of the time that people get jumped, it is against multiple people. 40%, that's 4 out of 10, okay, that you're going to be faced with a multiple attacker situation. So you got to look at the statistics and the odds of how you can actually protect yourself. If you are not carrying a weapon, at least bare minimum some sort of an edged weapon like a knife, and you claim to be studying Ninjutsu and Bujutsu, my question is, are you sure about your training? Now I get it, there's lots of Ninjutsu schools that only teach Taijutsu, and they might play with the weapon every now and again, and they call it Ninjutsu, which that's not Ninjutsu. Taijutsu is not Ninjutsu. And that same group of people that claim that Taijutsu is Ninjutsu, which it's not, then they'll turn around and say, oh, well, we don't teach the old techniques. We just teach you modern variation of those techniques. So not only are they not teaching Ninjutsu and they claim to be teaching Ninjutsu, there's one strike. Two, they're teaching you empty-handed techniques, but they're not teaching you the classical kata, probably because they never learned it. They just learned philosophies and strategies. And then they're teaching you a modern variation of an old kata that they're not showing you to begin with, calling it something that it's not, and then turning around and saying they're the realest thing there is. That's a whole lot of just bad situation going on. You have to be training in weapons. Now, this is not relegated to any organization. I have lots of friends in all major Ninpo organizations, and they're really good teachers, and they teach really good reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, etc., etc. So this, I'm not really banging on any particular organization. I'm just saying that there are really bad martial art teachers out there, and you need to be wary of that. When you're studying Ninjutsu and Bujutsu, right, or the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai, right? So we're going to take all that and just dumb it down to ninja martial arts. That way I don't have to keep speaking the same terms here, right? So ninja martial arts, when you're studying that, it is strongly a weapon-based system. You need to be learning how to use your weapons. Taijutsu, or empty-handed combat, is a very small part of that particular training. The Taijutsu itself is actually teaching you how to use weapons properly within a situation, and I can give you guys a variety of different examples, but the reality of it is you need to be very skilled in all types of weaponry, whether it is blunt force instruments like sticks, baseball bats, golf clubs, beer bottles, whatever it is you can pick up and hit somebody with, or you're going to be trained with edged weapons, whether it's a traditional katana or a pocket knife that you would conceal for self-defense, or firearms, etc. I think everyone needs to be trained in all of it. I think all of the students need to be highly trained in all of it. You need to be practicing with your firearms. You need to be practicing with, instruments that you can hit and cause impact and create more pain through impact. You need to be training with edged weapons. All of that needs to be part of your training. If you're not training with weapons, then you're not truly training in reality-based self-defense, because it is not probable for someone to attack you with an empty hand and you guys are going to do some sort of a karate fight in the middle of a street. That's just not very probable. It's just not. I mean, I guess it's possible that someone could challenge you to some sort of a karate duel on the end of the corner, but the reality of it is when you get jumped, they're going to have a weapon and you're going to have to protect yourself against the weapon. You will need to use empty-handed techniques to diffuse the situation, to control the situation, but at that point you also need to use techniques that you can now employ, the concealed carry techniques, again, whatever it is that you're concealing, to use effectively against the attacker. I also think it's important that you guys do know that you should be following the laws of your particular state or country. And although not everybody that lives in whatever state that they live in can carry a firearm or an edged weapon or whatever, you guys still can carry something, even if it's something that's just a force multiplier. A force multiplier is something that if I take my hand and I hit my steering wheel like this, and I hit with 10 pounds of force, right? If I hit with 10 pounds of force on my steering wheel, that doesn't cause a lot of damage to the steering wheel. But if I take something like, I don't know, one of those stainless steel self-defense ink pens that you can buy and hold, that is an ink pen made from steel that's designed that you can hit somebody with it, and it's going to cause, even if I hit them with 10 pounds of force, because it's all focused on a small point like an ink pen, it's going to create a lot more damage onto your opponent. So you should always have something in your hand. So even if you can't carry firearms or edged weapons, or you can't get a hold of some sort of a kopo or a little stick to protect yourself, you can always use something like those self-defense pins that are made out of stainless steel or whatever it is. Even in ninjutsu, we have all those Taijutsu or evasion techniques found within the Tenchi Jin, or the methods of heaven, earth, and man. So the Tentan Jupo, Chitan Jupo, Jintan Jupo, there are all those 30 plus methods of evasion found in that. So it's not just about utilizing your taijutsu skills or whatever to create distance. The most effective thing that you can do in a self-defense situation is to open your hand, grab the weapon you're using, and use it effectively on a person that's probably bigger, has a weapon against you, probably have multiple attackers and their boys are watching, and you're on their turf, right? Because the chance of you getting jumped in your garage is much, much smaller than you getting jumped downtown in a parking garage. So you have to understand the threat and where the threat is. Another thing is, don't pan it off that just because there's some sort of an attacker that you're just going to do some special little technique, touch them in certain spots, and they're just going to fall over and cry. No, people who are criminals are really good at violence and they're really good at crime. So it's like I've seen it happen where someone will pull a knife on someone, and then you have some just ridiculous self-defense expert goes and grabs the knife because they're going to do knife defense. And once they do that, the guy that's good at crime, wham, he hits you with the other fucking hand. Why? Because he's good at violence. He's using the knife to make you think about the knife. You now tunnel visioned on the knife, and then they jack you on the other side. You drop to the ground. They can steal whatever and do whatever, right? So just because you're presented with a threat, you have to understand, see the whole picture. Don't just tunnel vision on one thing, because just because they pull a weapon or have lethal force or using something against you doesn't necessarily mean they're going to use it. You always want to assume that they're going to use it, put yourself in a position, but don't always just go all in on one thing, because they can come around the other side. Another thing that people fail to do in their self-defense training is, besides, not training with weapons, they only do empty-handed techniques. And I'm not taking shots at people who are doing boxing and kickboxing and MMA and all that kind of stuff. That has nothing to do with that. I don't teach that. I teach ninja martial arts. So we're trained to use weapons, and we train to use these weapons in a self-defense situation. So when you're training in ninja martial arts, it's very important to know that yes, we do train in empty-handed techniques. We do have the ryuha that do have kata, and they're used from an empty-handed perspective. But the reality of it is, if you're studying the ninja martial arts or samurai martial arts, especially from a koryu perspective, you are training in a weapons-based self-defense system. Every ninja and samurai carried a blade, whether it was a katana or whatever. They carried an edged weapon. You should be carrying an edged weapon yourself. This is why I am so for mechanical blades, not so much the fixed blades that you pull it out and the blade is already there, because you have a level of intensity that you can change to as the fight progresses. An example, if someone attacks you, you can just draw your quote-unquote pocket knife, if you will, but you've not flipped it out. The knife is still in the handle, right? It's a mechanical blade. You could pull it and then use that as a force multiplier to then strike the opponent or the criminal who's attacking you. And in that situation, that's a good thing, right? But then if it escalates even more and now they grab something like a knife or something to beat you with, then you could take that, flip it out, and now you have an edged weapon. You can match intensity as this particular situation escalates, but people don't think about that. So you want to make sure that you are carrying things that you can use in an extremely variety of different ways. You don't want to have, and hammer does not fix every single problem. But if you guys seriously think that that there's this empty-handed technique, I can touch this pressure point, or I can do this, or I can gather my chi and I can touch this and the attacker's going to go down, well, then you don't live in the same world that I do. And for all of you martial art teachers out there that's like, oh, we only teach the way of the fist, or we teach Ninpo, this, that, and the other, and you're only teaching empty-handed fighting, how can you call yourself a self-defense instructor? Every single day, watch the news. There are mass shootings every day. People are dying. Violence is at its highest it's ever been. And if you're sitting there truly spewing stupidity to your students, saying, no, this is the way, when they grab you like this, you're in Shizen, you're going to counter grab, Sakame Uke, Yokoroki, Kopo-ken. You're really going to do that and then tell them this is reality-based self-defense. You are not a self-defense instructor. You are not a martial arts instructor. You are a businessman. Now, you probably run a much more effective business than a lot of other people, because people like to believe the nice stuff. They really like to believe that if they do this and it's kind and you can show compassion to the person that's attacking you, that you can prevail. But the reality of it is they come at you so fast, so violent, so intense. If you don't match the speed and the violence and the intensity, the chances of prevailing are going to be massively slim. I get it. That's what the movies come out to be, that this attacker swinging and some kung fu master is just moving around and looking at the punches. But that doesn't work in reality. Not my reality. But if you want my opinion and you want to actually utilize the most ultimate empty-handed combative technique that a ninja would have used, you're going to open your hand, you're going to put it down, you're going to grab the weapon you're carrying, and you're going to use that weapon on the attacker. That is the ultimate technique. Now, you might not always have the time to grab the weapon, so you have to understand distance, timing, and the situation. Situational awareness is everything. That's key. So you've got to be able to create the distance, whether that's using Taijutsu or Taisabaki or Ashiwaza or whatever you're using. You have to carry something, because if you're carrying nothing, you are at a complete disadvantage to everybody who is thinking that you are their prey. So those are my thoughts today. If you guys enjoyed that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you guys are interested in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out my website at www.budoninjutsu.com. There you guys can see the different traditions that we teach, the philosophy and strategies and the areas of training that we provide. If you guys are still interested after that, check out all the different dojos and schools that we have. If you don't live next to one of our schools, you guys can always join the Budo online ninjutsu dojo, and you guys can start training with us that way. So thank you guys very much for your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo. Bye.